Good day, children. I hope you're all fine. I'm Anupreet Kaur from the Chandigarh Education Department. Children, do you like to go on trips? Yes? So, what kind of trips would you like to go on? Boating trips? Train journeys? Plane journeys? Yes? All kinds. Do you like to go trekking or hiking? It is fun, I assure you. It's a lot of fun. So, children, when you have to go on a long trip, what is essential for you to do before you start the trip? Packing. We have to do very good packing. We have to pack up all the essentials. Everything that we need for our trip has to be in our bags. Are you good at packing? Some of us are good at packing and some can make a mess of it. Suppose you think you've packed very well and when you reach the place, you realize that you've forgotten some essential things. Something like a toothbrush or slippers or your night suit. What do you feel about it? Does it make you angry or do you laugh it off? Yes, it is a bit irritating when you miss out on those things. But well, today we shall read a chapter, Packing, by Jerome K. Jerome. This is from your NCERT textbook, Beehive. This chapter, Packing, is an extract from Three Men in a Boat, which is a comic travelogue. Let's enjoy this amazing and awesome and humorous story about three men packing. George, Harris, and Jerome plan a 2-week boating trip on the River Thames. We have a lot of fun reading about them pack for the trip.
I said I'd pack, says Jerome. I rather pride myself on my packing. Packing is one of those many things that I feel I know more about than any other person living. It surprises me myself sometimes how many such things there are. I impressed the fact upon George and Harris and told them that they had better leave the whole matter entirely to me. Now we see that Jerome is very proud of his packing skills. He thinks that he's the best packer. Rather, he's so proud of himself that he feels that he's very good at many things. He's very impressed with himself. And now he impresses this fact, means he convinces George and Harris that they should let him pack, that he should be in command of the entire matter. They fell into the suggestion with a readiness that had something uncanny about it. George spread himself over the easy chair and Harris cocked his legs on the table. So George and Harris agreed to it very readily. So why did the narrator insist on doing the packing? Because he thought that he was the best packer. And how did George and Harris react to this? They agreed to it very strangely and very weirdly, because initially Jerome thought that they would argue with him over this. He thought that they would say no, even they wanted to pack. Yet they agreed in a very uncanny, a very strange manner right then and there. And what did George do? He spread himself over the easy chair. And Harris put his legs on the table and relaxed. This was hardly what I intended. What I had meant, of course, was that I should boss the job and that Harris and George should potter about under my directions. I pushing them aside every now and then with, "Oh, you, here, let me do it." There you are, simple enough. Really teaching them, as you might say. So what was Jerome's intention when he offered to pack? He intended to be the boss. He intended to command them and to teach them how to pack. So he thought he would be bossing around and commanding them, and George and Harris would be running around doing the menial job of collecting the things and setting them right. And he would just be teaching. Now, was he happy with George and Harris's reaction? Let's see. Their taking it in the way they did irritated me. There's nothing does irritate me more than seeing other people sitting about doing nothing when I'm working. So, how does Jerome feel? He feels irritated because George is just relaxing on an easy chair and Harris is again also relaxing with his feet on the table. So Jerome is very upset because he thought they'd be running around under his command. I lived with a man once who used to make me mad that way. He would loll on the sofa and watch me doing things by the hour together. He said it did him real good to look on at me messing about. So now he's remembering a man with whom he used to live. He says that man also used to make me very angry. He used to make me very mad because he would simply relax on the sofa and watch me, that is Jerome, doing all the things just by myself. So he said that it did him real good to look on me messing about. So that man enjoyed himself letting Jerome do all the work. Now, I'm not like that. I can't sit still and see another man slaving and working. I want to get up and superintend and walk around with my hands in my pockets and tell him what to do. It is my energetic nature. I can't help it. Now, children, this is so humorous. He's pretending to be very energetic. And he's saying that he can't bear to see other people working and he just sits and relax. He can't do that. And do you think he feels bad about it? No, because what he plans to do is not do that work, not to help those people who are working. Rather, he intends to superintend, to supervise, and to boss around. That's what he wants to do, to boss the work. However, I did not say anything but started the packing. It seemed a longer job than I had thought it was going to be. But I got the bag finished at last and I sat on it and strapped it. So, although it took him a long time, he managed to do the work. Once he had packed everything, he closed the bag, he put the straps on so that the bag wouldn't fall open. Ain't you going to put the boots in? Said Harris. What did Harris say after the bag was shut and strapped? He said, are you not going to put the boots in? So Jerome had left the boots out by mistake. And why did Harris wait for so long? Why did he wait for him to close the bag before telling him that? Because Harris and George are actually having fun at the expense of Jerome. I looked around and found I had forgotten them. That's just like Harris. He couldn't have said a word until I got the bag shut and strapped. Of course, and George laughed. One of those irritating, senseless laughs of his. They do make me so wild. So, although they are very close friends, yet there are things about your friends that do irritate you. So, here because George and Harris are making fun of Jerome, Jerome is very irritated. He's very angry with them that why are they troubling him so much? Why could they not tell him that his boots had been left out before he closed the bag and strapped it? So, do you also feel like this sometimes? If your friends are laughing at you, do you feel very angry at them? Do you feel very irritated? Yes, I think everybody feels like that. If friends are making fun of you, sometimes you cannot take it in your stride. But I think you can show some good sense of humor and accept such tricks and such laughter and such humor amongst the friends. I opened the bag and packed the boots in. And then, just as I was going to close it, a horrible idea occurred to me. Had I packed my toothbrush? I don't know how it is, but I never do know whether I have packed my toothbrush. Now, what horrible idea occurred to Jerome just as he was about to close his bag? He did not remember whether he had packed his toothbrush. Now, this happens with him a lot of times. My toothbrush is a thing that haunts me when I'm traveling and makes my life a misery. So it haunts him, it troubles him by coming in his mind again and again. It's that repeated image of the toothbrush, whether he's packed it or not packed it. I dream that I haven't packed it, and I wake up in a cold perspiration and get out of bed and hunt for it. This is such an exaggerated scene over here. I mean, who would wake up in a cold perspiration just because they had left the toothbrush behind? Well, anyway, so he gets out of bed and he hunts for the toothbrush every time he has to go traveling. And in the morning, I pack it before I have used it. Now, children, it seems that he has only one toothbrush, because if he had packed it, how would he use it? So then he remembers that, oh, he should have left it out. He packs it before having used it, and then I have to unpack again to get it. So again, he has to open his bags, unpack them to take out the toothbrush and use it. And it is always the last thing I turn out of the bag. Now, when he is looking for the toothbrush, he finds it at the bottom of the bag, because he has to take out everything and it is the last thing in the bag that he finds. And then I repack and I forget it. So when he repacks, he forgets to put the toothbrush in the second time. And I have to rush upstairs for it at the last moment and carry it to the railway station wrapped up in my pocket handkerchief. So then he remembers, after having packed everything, taken his stuff down, he remembers that he has to get the toothbrush. So he has to run upstairs, find his toothbrush and wrap it up in his hanky. This is for the sake of hygiene, because if he had left it open, of course, it would catch all the germs. So then he wraps it up in his handkerchief, puts it in his pocket and carries it to the railway station. Of course, I had to turn every mortal thing out now. And of course, I could not find it. Now again, the same thing has happened. He doesn't remember whether he's packed his toothbrush or not. So he has to take out everything, every ordinary thing from his bag, looking for the toothbrush. I rummaged the things up into much the same state that must have been there before the world was created and when chaos reigned. So children, this is a very exaggerated, humorous form of writing. He says now that he took out everything, there was total chaos. It was the kind of state that before the universe was created, it was that kind of a chaos. So he rummages through his bag. He searches it in a hurried and a careless way and throws everything out. Why does he do that? Because he is looking for his toothbrush. Of course, I found George's and Harris's 18 times over, but I couldn't find my own. Now, when he's looking for his toothbrush, every time he finds a brush, it happens to be either George's or Harris's. So, literally 18 times he finds their toothbrushes, but he could not find his own brush. I put the things back one by one and held everything up and shook it. So, he shakes up the clothes and all the other things, thinking what if the toothbrush is found stuck in them or it is hidden in one of those things. So he literally ends up opening all his clothes as he unpacks and trying to find his toothbrush. Then I found it inside a boot. I repacked it once more. So where does he find the toothbrush? In one of his boots. Do you think he should use that toothbrush now that it is in a boot? I don't think so. I really wonder why he's repacked it. He should have got a new one. This has got germs in it. Now it's so dirty. It's been inside a boot, inside a shoe. What would you do if you found your toothbrush in a shoe? I don't think you should use it. It becomes so unhygienic. When I had finished, George asked if the soap was in. I said I didn't care a hang whether the soap was in or whether it wasn't. And I slammed the bag shut and strapped it. and found that I had packed my spectacles in it and had to reopen it. Now, children, why did he have to reopen the bag? Because he'd left his spectacles in the bag. Initially, when George asked him about the soap, did he open it? No. He says, I don't care if there's a soap inside. So he decided that he was done because he had been rummaging through all his stuff for such a long time. He just did not want to open his bag again. But poor thing, he had to open it because he'd left his spectacles inside. It got shut up finally at 10:05 p.m. And then there remained the hampers to do. Harris said that we should be wanting to start in less than 12 hours' time and thought that he and George had better do the rest. And I agreed and sat down, and they had a go. Now, thankfully, George and Harris offered to help in the packing. Poor Jerome had been working till 10 o'clock at night to pack the bags. And since they had to leave in the morning, George and Harris offered to do the rest of the packing. They said that they would pack the hamper. So hampers are these large baskets for carrying the food and other ingredients and other stuff. Hampers are these large baskets for carrying food and other stuff. So this is the end of the first session. Children, let's do an activity. I would like you to match the words or the phrases in column A with the meanings in column B. The words are slaving, chaos, rummage, potter about, accomplish, uncanny, a row. And in column B, their answers would be a quarrel or an argument, do some unimportant thing, strange, mysterious, difficult to explain, finish successfully or achieve, search for something by moving things around hurriedly or carelessly, complete confusion and disorder, working hard. Now I would like you to match the words with their meanings. Slaving.
Working hard.
Good. Chaos.
Complete confusion and disorder.
That's right. Rummage.
Search for something by moving things around hurriedly or carelessly.
That is correct. Like when you lose something, then you have to rummage around looking for it. Potter about.
Do some unimportant thing.
Accomplish.
Finish successfully. Achieve.
That is correct. Uncanny.
Strange, mysterious, difficult to explain.
That's right. A row.
Quarrel or an argument.
Good. Children, when you look at the sentences below, you will notice that the verbs are all in their base form. Like in simple commands, you see stand up, put it there. So stand and put are both in their base form or the bare form. Like in do's and don'ts, we say always get up for your elders. Don't shout in class. Here, get up and shout, they are in their base form or the bare form. There is a new student in your class. So I would like you to give directions on 2 do's and 2 don'ts to this new student. So the do's.
Do homework on time.
Okay.
Always clean drinking water.
Okay. And the don'ts?
Don't put your bag on the table.
On the table, right.
Don't make a noise in the class.
That is correct. Very well done. Now let's talk about proverbs. A proverb is a short, well-known, pithy saying stating a general truth or a piece of advice. Now we'll talk about some positive proverbs and some negative proverbs. Let's do some positive proverbs first. Save for a
Rainy day.
Good. So I'll say one half and you'll complete the proverb for me, right? Save for a
Rainy day.
Make hay
While the sun shines.
Good. Look before
You leap.
Wonderful. Live and
Let live.
Very good. Now let's do some negative proverbs. Don't cry.
Over spilt milk.
Don't push the cart.
Before the horse.
Good. Don't make a mountain.
Out of a molehill.
Good. Don't put all your eggs.
In one basket.
Wonderful. You're really good at proverbs. And they're very interesting. Do you know any more proverbs?
When in Rome, do as Romans do.
That's great. Any other?
Necessity is the mother of invention.
Great.
A penny loved is a penny earned.
So, children, I would like you to make a list of 10 proverbs and use them in your writing. Children, let's have another activity now. Look at this sentence. I told George and Harris that they had better leave the whole matter entirely to me. The words had better are used in an advice or suggestion, in an order, as a threat. Now, when we speak, we can use these words had better in a conversation. Now we imagine these situations and then we talk to our partner. So suppose your partner has not returned a book to the library. What will you say to him or her?
You had better to return the book to the library or you will be fined.
Good, that's pretty good. If your partner has forgotten to bring lunch, what will you say to your partner?
You had better eat lunch with me or you will starve.
That's right, it's pretty good. If your partner has not got enough change for bus fare,
You had better take some change from me or the conductor will ask you to get off the bus.
that's right. So better to give your friend some money. If your partner has found out a secret about you, then what will you say to your partner?
You had better not tell my secret to anybody or I will never speak to you.
Yes, now here you are threatening your partner with had better. If your partner has misplaced your English,
You had better find my English textbook or I will never lend it to you.
good. So you have used had better in many ways as an advice, as an order, and as a threat. Well done. Let's have a quiz now. I'll give you 4 options for each question and you have to tell me which is the correct one. The lesson packing is written by George Orwell, Jerome K. Jerome, Thomas Hardy, Isaac Asimov.
The chapter is written by Jerome K. Jerome.
That's correct. The lesson packing is an excerpt from the novel Three Men in a Boat, Gulliver's Travels, Wings of Fire, The Invisible Man.
I think it is an excerpt from the novel Three Men in a Boat.
That is correct. The first one to offer to pack was Jerome, Montmorency, George, or Harris.
The first one who offered was Jerome.
That's correct. Jerome offered to pack because he was helpful, he was expert at packing, he thought he was expert at packing, he liked packing.
Jerome offered because he thought that he was an expert at packing.
That's very good. When Jerome offered to pack, he intended to pack by himself, help George and Harris pack, supervise George and Harris as they packed, or none of the above.
He intended to supervise George and Harris as they packed.
That's correct. While Jerome packed, George and Harris helped him to pack, went for a walk, sat and watched him pack, or watched television.
Sat and watched him pack.
That's correct. Jerome found his toothbrush inside a boot, in his bag's pocket, in his cupboard, in his clothes.
Inside a boot.
That's right. When he finally zipped up the bag, Harris told him that he had forgotten to pack the toothbrush, the boots, the towels, the books.
The boots.
That's correct. Very well done, child.
I hope you've enjoyed Jerome packing. It has been such a hilarious story where we see him first leaving out his boots, then his toothbrush, and look where he finds it, in his boots. And he leaves his spectacles in the bags too. Here, poor Jerome thought that he would boss over his friends and make them do all the packing, pretending that he was doing it. But no, his friends were as smart or maybe smarter than him. They let him do all the work, saying that he was the boss, he could do it. Children, now we come to the end of the first episode. We shall read the rest of the story in the next session.